Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my weekly review of The Walking Dead on AMC. This week we've seen Season 7, Episode 14, which is called The Other Side. And overall I like this episode quite a bit. I know a lot of people enjoyed last week's episode, with the whole Morgan moment at the end with how he dealt with the Richard situation and him sort of snapping back into that clear mode. I found that to be a really good moment, because I've been a big fan of the Morgan character since the beginning, and so to see that sort of development, or that, in a way, regression back, and then, him sharpening his stick into a spear, pretty cool moment for Morgan fans. But this episode I actually found to be a little bit better all around. Nothing, quite like that moment, we all expect Morgan to snap back into that mindset at some point, or at least to an extent. But I don't think any of us expected, him to make an example out of Richard that way and use him as sort of a catalyst for it in a way. But I just think this episode didn't rely quite as much as on that single moment to, that got my interest. For me, it had a few, or at least a couple things sprinkled in that sort of, entertained me throughout. A lot of people complain about The Walking Dead Season 7, but I think it's still been a pretty good season. There's definitely been some episodes which are clearly meant for filler and to pad it out, but I don't think there's anything that's been bad, necessarily. I just think there's been a little bit too much time taken in general, but it is what it is. But like I said, there are a couple things I really did like about this episode, and from the Sasha and Rosita stuff, I actually liked quite a bit, which I didn't really expect because I don't really like Sasha at all. But they actually had some good moments this episode, especially the scene towards the end where they both sort of talk about their lives. Rosita sort of explains how she adapted as the world was changing, or even before it all started, how a lot of people felt like that to protect her, and how she slowly learned from all of them and sort of rose up to be stronger than each one. So I sort of like how that was explained, and how she sort of went on with a few guys she could find, just because it was fun, and to pick up some knowledge without them really knowing. But Abraham sort of ended up meaning more to her, and I still think it's a little bit unexplained, why Abraham left Rosita in the first place for Sasha. But I guess Rosita tried to explain it Abraham was happy, and Rosita wasn't quite at that point. They were sort of on two different mental playing fields in a way when they got to Alexandria. But from what I remember, the last scene together, Rosita seemed pretty happy, so I don't know. But I still like the acting from Christian Serratos in that scene, and Sonequa Martin Green is fine, but I think it was Christian Serratos that kind of carried that scene. I've liked her, since her role as Susie Crabgrass on Ned's Declassified, so to see her on this, it's pretty good, and Rosita's really becoming one of my favorite characters on the show. Of course, Rick and Michonne are my two favorites, then it's probably between Daryl and Morgan. Negan's kind of nearing that too, in a way. But after Michonne, Rosita and Tara are probably my favorite females on the show, and I may actually like Rosita more than Tara at this point. Just because we've gotten, more a serious character progression from her, and sort of focus. But anyway, so I really liked the Sasha and Rosita stuff this episode, even if it was just for the Rosita side of things. I still enjoyed their little trip a little bit more than I expected to. And I'll talk more about how that turned out in a couple minutes here. But you also had Simon, making a surprise visit to the hilltop. Of course, checking, for the escaped Daryl and things like that, which Gregory sweeps under the rug. Xander Berkeley continues to play that, just plays the asshole really well, but he is sort of, keeping them hidden if, just to save his own skin. But I'm surprised he hasn't just tried to give them up yet. But I really liked the Maggie and Daryl moment in this episode. I think it's one we definitely needed. With Daryl, when they're hiding from the Saviors as they're, searching the area, and afterward. They have a moment where Daryl sort of breaks down, why he hasn't been talking to Maggie at all since he's gotten there. It's because of that guilt he feels with Glenn's death, back in the premiere episode. And that's because, he went and he slugged Negan, and that caused Negan to, kill another one of them. But Maggie, of course, wanted to kill Negan herself, so she doesn't really blame them. It could have been any of them doing that. And, how are they gonna, predict, who he was gonna kill in retaliation because of it, so I'm glad she's not like pinning it on him, like, oh yeah, it's completely her fault. Negan's also just a psychopath, so he might have done it anyway. But at the same time, he does have these set of rules, so in a way, if Daryl didn't act, then maybe everyone else would be fine besides Abraham. I don't know though, but still I'm glad they're not making like a whole thing where Daryl has to earn the forgiveness in a certain way. But then again, on the other hand, he is probably still going to feel like he has to some capacity. But I still like the acting from Norman Reedus in that scene. So it was a fairly touching scene, and we didn't see like Rick or anything in this episode, which was unfortunate. But I think it still touched on some key stuff. And as far as how Rosita and Sasha's assassination attempt turned out, I already talked about how much I like the scene with Rosita talking about her life, and how it turned out, though. They get to the fence, they use the bolt cutters, they get the fence open, they're able to create a distraction for the walkers, using I think it was a form of a Molotov or something. And I see Eugene, I see him ordering people around. Rosita immediately recognizes it's basically a ruse from Eugene, basically to survive like a cockroach, really. She explained it differently, but that's basically what it is. But when they get the fence open, it's late at night, and they're heading in, and they see Eugene, and they kill a guy who's with them with a silencer, and they said they could get him out of there, they could rescue him, but Eugene didn't want to, and Rosita calls him a weak coward. So I don't believe Eugene is like now completely like hostile towards the survivors. I just think he's just really scared of the situation. And he's probably not strong enough to really even go through with that when there's when there's an opportunity in front of him. That's how scared he is. But I didn't really expect what happened next. With Sasha, telling Rosita it's not her time, similar to how we talked about how it wasn't Abraham's time yet. So Sasha ends up going in by herself. And so I didn't really expect that. I knew it was going to go wrong. It was obviously going to go wrong. Obviously, they weren't going to be able to, kill Negan. But I sort of expected them to get caught in some way, and then one of them managed to escape or something. I didn't expect one of them to sort of just run in alone, really. But I'm glad it was Sasha, because now Sasha is likely going to be the one to be killed. Yay. I know there are probably some Sasha fans out there. I've just found Rosita to be a more interesting character and a fun character. So I'm glad about this. There's like a possible result of this that some people are comparing to an event in the comics. I'm not going to talk about that right now. But if it plays out that way, it will certainly be a memorable scene. But yeah. Let's just see how it goes. Overall, like I said, I like this episode quite a bit. I liked last week's too, but I just think there's more overall going on with this, and I'm rating it about an 8.7 out of 10. Let me know what you guys thought about it. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, subscribe, and catch you guys next time. Peace.